This is the Engines of Our Ingenuity, made possible by the Friends of KUHF Houston.
Today, UH scholar Richard Armstrong tells us about puzzles in chronology. The Honors College at the University of Houston presents this program about the machines that make our civilization run and the people whose ingenuity created them.
Here's a puzzle. William Shakespeare and Miguel de Cervantes both died on the 23rd of April in 1616. Now, they were both equally and completely dead on April 23rd, and yet they did not die on the same day. How is this possible? Welcome to the disturbing world of historical chronology. We like to think of historical dates as part of a tidy grid. We can use this grid to organize great events of the past in our minds. Imagine a huge pegboard, one peg for every day in history. The peg April 23, 1616 now has two tags, Death of Shakespeare, Death of Cervantes. Isn't that convenient? Alas, it's not so simple. Cervantes died in Spain, which had adopted the Gregorian calendar 3 decades before. The Gregorian calendar was a reformed version of Julius Caesar's calendar, which first put Europe in sync with the solar year. But the Julian calendar was slightly too long. Over the centuries since Caesar, the calendar year was gradually slipping behind the natural seasons. Pope Gregory XIII called for this to be corrected, since it led to observing Easter on the wrong day. A new rule was devised for leap years, and 10 days were cut to put the calendar back in line with the solar year. So when Spain adopted the reform, October 5th was immediately followed by the 15th. But Shakespeare died in England, a Protestant country where people would hardly let the Pope steal 10 days of their lives. So the bard actually died 10 days after Cervantes. Now we have to imagine 2 separate pegboards for historical events, one for each country. April 23rd on the English pegboard was May 3rd on the Spanish one. And they had to keep using separate pegboards in Europe for some time to come, because Protestants kept resisting the Vatican's new calendar. Eventually, they had to give in to this reasonable adjustment. Britain and its empire finally adopted the Gregorian reform in 1752. But by then, the British had to cut a full 11 days from the calendar. Eastern Orthodox countries were even more resistant. The Bolsheviks brought it to Russia at the end of World War I. Greece didn't adopt it until 1923. This is troubling because we want dates to function like longitude and latitude. But there's no going back into the past, no using the calendar like MapQuest or Google Earth. We commonly use historical dates as labels and schemes for commemoration. They're invitations to think about the past as we move through our present calendar year. So UNESCO, inspired by the apparent coincidence in death dates, declared April 23rd the International Day of the Book. Shakespeare now joins Cervantes for this festival, and we wink at the 10-day difference. But what a striking idea, the authors of Hamlet and Don Quixote dying on the same day. Why, it might even inspire us all to make a date with a book. I'm Richard Armstrong for the University of Houston, where we're interested in the way inventive minds work.